Sometimes the hardest hits in life don't come from an opponent's punch, they come from our own self-doubts. Haidon Allen was climbing the ranks in amateur boxing when he stepped into the ring with one of the world's top 25 fighters. He left that match humbled, questioning everything and ready to throw in the towel. From youth baseball to high school football, Division I wrestling to MMA, he had always been chasing the best version of himself. Haidon had once before almost allowed his athletic journey to be defined by giving up, and it wasn't going to happen again. So what made him step back into the ring after that crushing defeat? The unwavering support of his biggest fans, his family.
So you can find me on Instagram under official _ Haidon Allen. My next fight is actually in 3 weeks, April 19th. I'm getting ready to become 5-0 as a professional fighter, and I'm excited. I'll be fighting here in Clackamas, and I'm ready. I'm ready to put all the skills and all the hard work down. I'm excited. My mom, she's the best at explaining about my last side, and now that I'm older and wiser, like I'm starting to learn more about it, and I want to learn more about it, because that's the family I'm around all the time.
Yeah.
I'm mainly around my Lao side. Like my dad's side, it's just my dad and my grandma.
Okay.
I have a small family over there, but on my Lao side, it's like I'm always with them. And now I'm like getting older.
So you speak a little bit?
No, that's the thing. I wish my mom would have taught me. Like I know how to say little things, like Sabadi, Kapjai, Hapjao, Matao. Like I love you, Matao. You know what I mean? Like just simple thing, but that's why I want to learn. And I actually just got an app on my phone that teaches you a little bit of.
Yeah, that's cool. Man, there's so many apps out there. And you can learn on YouTube, man. Laos has those music videos and like it's karaoke and you can like say the words.
I know, dude. All right. Just listen to music is fun and just try to practice singing it. It's awesome.
Co, you got to clarify this for me before we moved on, because he said Matau, and I thought Matut was for the mother's side, because that's what my kids call their grandma on my wife's side.
There's Matau and Matu. Yeah, one is for the mom side, one is for the parent, and one is for the dad side. I don't know. I don't know which is.
Matau, I say Matau and Patau. Like great Matau, Patau.
I think Matau is for mom, because that's what my niece.
Yep.
That's what my nieces call my mom. They call her Matau.
Yep.
And then like Matu is like the father side. I'm sure. Yeah, because I never.
My wife must do it wrong, right? Because it's on her side that my kids say Matut and Patut. I never knew the difference. And then they've got a couple other words too, Poo and Yai and other things. I don't know.
Patau, like Patau, like grandpa.
Patau. Yeah, but that's used sometimes, and then Matut and Patut are used the other time. I don't know which is right. We'll have to ask an expert. If there's an expert out there, they could chime in and let us know. So with that, we'll get this thing kicked off.
I think also too. It's like the classes have a lot to do with like what class you're in, and like the upper class say it a different way than like the villagers. I don't know.
Probably.
My mom was telling me there's a lot.
Yeah. So. All right, man. So hey guys, welcome to another episode of C4 Podcast, Southeast Asian Athlete Achievement Through Adversity. My name is Coach Andetka. I'm here with my coach, John Messina. We have an amazing guest on today. If you guys haven't already, please follow us on IG, on Facebook, Lao American Sports. Check out our website, laoamericansports.com. If you know of someone of Southeast Asian descent that has an amazing story to tell, please message us, because this is what it's all about. It's our achievements, right? But it's achievement through adversity part of it. If you know a little bit of my story, again, it has a lot of adversity in it. So sometimes those are the best stories, you always hear the ones that are, the guy that got who started football and then like he won and never lost. And it's like, okay, most people can't relate to that, but, when the guy has been going through some difficult times and he got back up, he moved forward, people can relate to that. So those are the stories that we want to hear. All right. I'm going to send it over to my co-host, and he's going to introduce our guest today.
Yeah, so before we jump into that, just want to give one of our small business shout outs. This one goes to Sticky Rice Bites in Rockford, Illinois. less than a year old, great Lao restaurant. Went in there for the first time with a group of like 10 people. We had everybody from like people born in Laos, like my wife and some of our other cousins, all the way up to people who this was their first time ever trying Lao food. And everybody liked it. It was amazing. The service is great, even though we had a big group. Everything was on time and good. So if you're in Rockford, Illinois, be sure to check out Sticky Rice Bites, one of the best, hottest new Lao restaurants here where Co and I are in northern Illinois. So with that, we have an incredible guest today. We actually featured him as a rising star back in 2022. He was actually just getting going in boxing. He had come off of college wrestling, gave mixed martial arts a try, etc. Was kind of finding his next adventure. Now I'll tell you, since that time, he has settled into boxing. He has gone pro. He is moving up the ranks, and that is Mr. Haidon Allen. So with that, Co.
All right, Haidon, tell us about what you know about your family origins in Laos.
Yes, first off, John, Co, I want to say thank you guys for having me on your podcast. This is my first one, so I'm excited and I'm ready to tell you guys my journey and my life. So my great Patao and my great Matao, they came here, or they escaped here to America in 1978. They had 8 kids, so I have a lot of great aunts, great uncles, and they were sponsored by a family in Arizona, or a church in Arizona. And that's how my grandma and grandpa met. They met in Arizona. They had my mom, and my mom was the first of 6 kids. So I have four aunts and 2 uncles that I consider my brothers. And that's how, and then my mom and dad met in Coos Bay, Oregon, and then they had me. So I'm just blessed, because if my great Patao and great Matao didn't move to the States or travel on boat to the States, I wouldn't be here today. So I'm just blessed to be alive, and I want to do the most of what I can with this life that I have. So
great. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing. You have a brother, Jacoby, who's also an athlete, but what was your upbringing like? What sports were you involved with?
Man, so growing up, I lived on a street called Halsey Street. You guys probably would know, but my mom and dad, they worked really hard, and they worked graveyard, day shift, and my mom and dad weren't home all the time, but they worked, and I saw that work ethic, which put a lot of work ethic in me. My mom and dad always told me to follow my dreams and my goals. So the sports I did, I grew up as a 3-sport athlete. I played baseball, football, wrestling. Those are the main sports I did. And I did a lot more. Actually, the first thing I ever did was gymnastics. So I was kind of all around athlete, but those are the main sports I did. And yeah, so I decided to stick with wrestling, and I wrestled from 8 to 22. So I went all the way to Leavenworth, Kansas, and I wrestled there for my freshman year of college, and I ended up transferring to Oregon State. So
what was the decision like when you graduated high school? What was it about wrestling that made you want to go? Because you said you did football, you did.
I'm glad you said that.
What's that?
So I'm glad you said that. So what made me decide was, when I was wrestling in high school, my goal was to win a state title. That was always my goal. I wanted to win a state title, and I loved the work ethic. I loved the drive. So I always had this fire within me. I didn't know what it was. So my senior year, I was undefeated. I was ranked number 2 in the state, and I ended up losing, actually, at districts, and it kind of broke me. It literally broke me. Like, this is the first time I've always made weight. I've always been disciplined. Like, I've always had that mindset of make sure I'm the hardest worker in the room. And the first time I lost a district was my senior year. It was my year to win it, and I lost. And the next day after you lose, you have to go into, wrestle again to go to the top and try to get third, because you can still work all the way up to 3rd place. But I decided to step on the scale, and I missed weight for the first time in my life ever. And it was because I was broken. Everyone knows that I did it on purpose, I missed on purpose because I didn't want to wrestle. I was just, my soul wasn't in it. And
You got
I
to
always
wait before every match. Is that how it works? Like every match you got to wait because like
so there's a bracket.
Okay.
There's a bracket, and say the bracket's 64 or 32-man bracket, and you got to work your way up the bracket. So there's the first day you have to win all your matches, and then you move on to the next day. So state, when you're in high school, it's a 2-day tournament. It's a 2-day tournament usually. So I made it the first day undefeated, and then the second day I lost to a guy that I beat at districts by 1 point. Oh wait, no, I actually lost. I'm sorry, repeat. I lost the very first day I was there. I won 2 matches, and the third match I lost, and then I had to come back for the round robin to get ranked the next day to try to make it on the podium because they do 1 to 6 rankings, like 1 to 6 in the best in the state, Okay. But the second day, I decided not to show up on weight because I lost the first day.
Gotcha.
And it was because I was broken. Like I was disappointed in myself, and I wanted that win because I was better than them. I was trying to make excuses, all this, but I was a young, immature kid,
That's adversity, but that's adversity we're talking about,
Yeah, it was adversity, and then I thought about it, and I had recruits looking at me for wrestling, and I had a coach come all the way from Kansas to my house in St. Helens, and they want to talk to me, and then me and my dad sat down, my mom, my whole family, we sat down and we talked about it, and obviously I was still in that mood. I was still in that mindset, and something drove me to go back, and I was like, you know what? I want to wrestle, and I want to get ranked. I want to see how far I can go. Just one more shot, And then I did it. I ended up going to University of St. Mary, Leavenworth, Kansas, and my freshman year was my best year of my wrestling career for sure. And I ended up making it to nationals my first year as a freshman. So my record was like 28-6, but I was going against grown men. Like I'm 18. These guys are like 20. Some guys are like 25, 26, and they're jacked like you go, like to have arms like that.
You're 25 still in college?
But when I was in college, I was 125. I fought at 125. I was a small guy.
But but wait, the age.
Oh, no. My age, I was 18, but these guys I was going against, like some of them were like 24, 25, because I went to an NAIA school first. And even if you go to D1 or D2, you can still go to college later on.
That's what I was like.
The cutoff is 26 for like NCAA D1, but you can get 4 years of eligibility plus redshirting, and sometimes there's an extra year and all these things. So you do get like 24, 25, especially right now with the COVID 5th year. Like in football, you've got like 25-year-olds, right? They're 6th year playing college football and other sports as well. So it's crazy.
Yeah, they just had at the OCAA, they just had a guy become a 5-time wrestling champion from Penn State. First time ever in history. Because apparently you can do it as a redshirt now, which is crazy. I don't know much about it because I haven't been in college for a while. But yeah, and then I went to nationals, and I was in the blood rounds, 1 spot away from placing top 8 in the country. And I ended up losing to the guy that got number 7 in the country. And I lost to him, it was like 4-2, lost by a takedown. But just to get there as a freshman, and I gave it my all. Like the difference was I gave it my all. You know what I mean? I didn't quit. I made sure that everything, my mind was there, my mental was there, my physical was there, and I pushed it. Like I was down, but I still thought, like, even with 5 seconds, I thought I could take him down and win, and then I ended up not getting the takedown, and I ended up losing, but I was still happy because I persevered that whole year, and I proved to myself that I can do it, so that's why I was happy. And then after that, I got recruited to go to Oregon State because I had a great freshman year, and then I transferred over there.
And you wrestled for 3 years at Oregon State?
I actually wrestled there for 1.5 years because that's when COVID hit. So so that it kind of just ruined my whole wrestling career, which was tough. It put me at another low point in my life, So I also was trying out for the football team too because I didn't know what else I didn't know if I wanted to keep wrestling at the time. because like I was already super satisfied about my freshman year, you know what I mean? And I was going to college and I wanted to try new things. I always loved football. It was always my passion growing up. But I had that little small man mentality, you know what I mean? I didn't realize now that I'm older, I'm like, I was only 5'5", 160. You know what I mean? And yeah, I could have made it. Like, because in my mind, after wrestling, I had the confidence, like I could have made it. You know what I mean? But like they had to accept me. You know what I mean? Like on the combine stuff. So, but yeah, I went there. I wrestled for a year and a half, and COVID hit. It put me kind of at a low moment in my career because I didn't know what to do. Like they wanted me to take the shot to go back to school, and I'm a health nut. You know, I didn't know if it was the best option for me, so I decided not to. And I couldn't wrestle or go to school if I didn't. So I decided. I was in my room one day. This is a funny story. I was in my room one day. I'm a big anime fan, and I was just watching anime, and I pulled up on this show called Hajime no Ippo, and it's a boxing anime. You can see it in the background right there. You see that poster?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a big boxing show, and I just fell in love with the character. Like he was a kid that got bullied back in the day, and he wanted to make a change in his life, and he wanted to become stronger. And I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do the same thing. So I wanted to do that, and I started boxing, and I fell in love with it. I ended up being pretty good. I went to some smoker events, some backyard fighting. I fought on Street Beefs. You guys can look that up later. You can look up Hummingbird versus Q-Tip. It's like when I had no experience 4 years ago, and it's backyard brawling. So if anyone wants to watch that afterwards, please do.
I'll definitely have to check that out. Yeah, send me
Yeah, I'll send it to you. But
the link.
yeah, after that, I fell in love with it. I was passionate. I was obsessed, and I decided to go all in boxing. So, what's up, Kobe?
What up?
My little bro right here.
Hey,
Hello.
Shelby.
Hey,
Hey.
Baseball player, right?
Yeah, I used to be a baseball player, but now
Oh.
future great.
Yeah.
Okay. He's getting into it too, huh?
Yeah, of course. Just got back from training like an hour ago. Just listening to Haidon talk right now.
Knee jobber.
Yeah.
Dropping. Yeah.
We're actually in my gym area right now. This is where I train. At home.
Where we train.
Yeah, where we train.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So tell us, so your boxing career, tell us about your rise, because when we first kind of connected with you and started talking to you, you were pretty new, right? You were just having your first matches and things, but where are you at now? What did you do to get there?
Let's go back, because I think back then we were talking about how I did MMA and kickboxing first. So as you guys know, I wrestled, and the first thing I did was I called 3 gyms. The third gym picked up. It was just a garage. Like she said, hey, you don't have to pay a membership or anything. It's just a garage. I have a punching bag in there. I was like, perfect. I would love to do that. I'm living in Corvallis right now because that's where I'm going to college, and I would travel to Albany to go train there, and I was just practicing my craft, practicing my skills by myself, watching this anime, and then literally taking what I learned from the show and putting it into real life, implementing it in real life. And then that's how I started. And I was training there, and then she ended up being an MMA coach, actually. She wasn't a boxing coach. But I actually went there to train boxing. So she got me in MMA, and she had some connections. I decided to do kickboxing first. So I did some smoker events, kickboxing. And I ended up doing great. I liked it. I went 2-0 with 2 KOs, and then I went to MMA and tested out there, worked on my jiu-jitsu, all of that. And then I decided to get into amateur boxing after Street Beast, and I just fell in love with it. That's the main reason what I want to do. But I knew I had that MMA background or that wrestling background, so I was like, my goal at the beginning was to be king of all fighters. You know, like I want to do it all, and that's still my goal in the future. But now that I'm older and I've met better people and have better connections, I realized that with boxing, I had better connections than I did MMA or kickboxing, you know? So I decided to take the route with boxing because I have a great team around me and they really want to take me to the top. And that's a whole nother story. I kind of want to tell it too. So
Yeah, we'll get to that. But I remember talking to Andre Sukumtat right after we featured you, and he's like, "Man, a Division I wrestler that's now getting into MMA. I got to see this." He was excited, right? Because once you're on the ground, those skills that you learn in wrestling, you can combine that with jujitsu and stuff. Man, it is a recipe for success in that sport for sure.
yes, thank you.
But
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
tell us about the boxing then.
All right, so this is a good story. So I started boxing after I just told you all about wrestling, MMA, kickboxing, and I did street beats.
How old were you here?
So I started boxing in my own apartment at 21, and I started actually taking it serious at 22. So I was 22 when I started amateur boxing,
Okay.
and I'm 26 now.
Okay.
So I started at 22, and then they saw me. So my coach actually is the president of amateur boxing here in Oregon, so he sees everything. And I didn't know that at the time. So he's kind of seen me from the very beginning when I was throwing bombs, like no technique, just athletic, explosive, to now that he's my coach and I'm tight, I'm sharp, and he's teaching me the real game, the real science behind it, the chess game. So I was 4-0, and he saw me, and he asked me, like, "Hey, do you want to spar my son?" And his son was the Intercontinental World Champion, so he's like top 8 in the world. And I knew nothing. I was a 4-0, cocky, like not cocky, but I was confident and
Confident.
had a lot of pride. I didn't know, you know what I mean? Like I was like, oh yeah, I'll spar him, I'll beat him up,
Yeah.
I'll beat him up. I'm a 4-0 amateur fighter who's knocked everybody out. I was like, oh, I think I got it. I had no idea. My mind was there. So I go there and I step in the ring with that guy and I go 6 rounds, and I wasn't expecting to not hit him once. Like I came at him like throwing like big shots, like because back then I only had like big shots, and I was super explosive. I was super athletic, and I'd move, and then I'd explode like this, throwing like huge shots from all the way back here, and he could see it all, and he was just slipping, dodging, and he was like, "What was that?" He's like talking in the ring. This is the first time someone's talked to me when I'm sparring them, like honestly talking like crap, And he's like, "What was that?" And then he touched me, hit me so hard, and then he clinched me. He's like, "Did you like that shot? Like, did you like that?" I was like,
Wow.
and like it hit my soul because like I was like so confident. I had so much belief in myself, and then he actually hit me to the body so hard that I almost took a knee. I hit here, and I was like, oh, but I kept my feet, so I didn't drop. Never been dropped, but it was close. And after that, I made it 6 rounds, and I sat in my car because I drove myself. I was kind of like a nomad, so I would train with the best. I would travel and train with pros and train with the top amateurs just to get myself better, And I sat in my car that day just like contemplating life. Like, is this the sport I really want to do? Because I looked him up afterwards. I'm like, he's not even the best. Like, I think he was like 24th in the world at that time. And I'm like, man, like, if I'm going to keep up with this, like, I'm going to have to face guys like him. And he's not even the best yet. Like, can I get there? Like, I'm like questioning myself, thinking. And then it made me want to go all in. Like, it leveled me up to a point like, this is what I want to do. Like, you got to think about it. Like, I've only been in it for like not even a year yet, And I was like, I'm going to go all in. And that's how my amateur career started. So I was chasing this guy. I've been chasing this guy since I started. And I ended up going against him right before nationals. And yeah, he beat me up again. I did better. I faced him 6 months later, and I kept doing it. I kept chasing him. And then finally, last year, I started being his main sparring partner for his big fights. And I would spar him twice a week, which is a lot. Twice a week, sometimes even one time, even 3 times a week. And then I ended up getting ranked. I went to the Olympic trials, and I made it to the finals. And I got ranked number 2 in the country. And after that, I was like, you know what? I've I felt like I made it as far as I could. I felt successful, and I was like, I'm ready to go pro. But I didn't have any of the connections at the time. So I just talked to Coach Victor, and I told him, hey, Coach, or hey, Victor, I'm going to go pro. And I was going to search and do my own. And he said, no, I want you to come with me because I see the work ethic you put in. Like, you come here by yourself with your dad, your mom, your brother. Like, my mom and dad were my brother and my dad were my coaches. We had like books. Like, we had a little book and we had commands. And I would have my brother and my dad read off my commands. My brother would yell, Ippo, Ippo, just like the anime. And the Ippo is me running the sweep. So, like, we kind of just, like, did our own thing. We did it. And he's like, hey, I want to take you in and I want the best for you. Like, I see your drive and I think you can make it. Like, I know you can make it. So he took me in and I'm blessed. So that's how I met my coach and my team. And that's my story about boxing. So.
Would you say that was being ranked number 2? Would you say that was one of your proudest achievements in boxing, or is there other achievements you're proud of?
I am very proud of that, yes. But like I said, that just telling you that story, that's probably my proudest achievement, is just going against it. Like, my proudest achievement is probably me sitting in that car, contemplating my life and thinking, like, is this the journey I want to take? Like, because if I didn't think that day, I could have been like, dude, he's too good. I could have been done. You know what I mean?
Were you thinking about quitting that moment?
Yeah, like that. In that moment, I thought about, like, man, because it shot me down. Because, like, I've never been beaten like that. You know what I mean? I got pieced up. It was bad, you know. And I was like, man, I literally thought about, man, this is gonna be the toughest journey ever. You know what I mean? Do I still want to do this? You know, and, like, yeah, I did think about quitting, but I didn't. For some reason, I still had that flame within me, and I was like, you know what? It just got bigger, and that's why I kept going.
What did you say to yourself that turning point that made you decide to keep going? Do you remember?
Man, I was literally sitting in my car. My head was, like, throbbing, and I was just like, I felt like I was, like, zoned. Like, my head was already zoned out. I was like, man, is this the life you want to decide? Is this what you're gonna do? Because you're gonna be facing guys like this.
Yeah.
You gotta go all in. You have to. Like, you have to go all in. You have to set your heart ablaze and go to war.
How do you drive yourself home after going 6 rounds with a guy like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that, honestly. Looking back, my coach was like, that was stupid. But I was isolated. I was solo. This is the dream I decided. So I kind of just did it on my own. But after that, I never sparred by myself with him again. I always had my brother, my dad. After that, I decided, because I sat in my car for, like, a whole hour before I even left. So I could just, like, recoup, recover. You know what I mean?
So by the time you sat in for an hour, and by the time you started driving home, you had already made the decision that you're going to continue, right?
Honestly, I sat on that decision for a little bit. Like, I was in the car, I'm like, I was just thinking of how my sparring went. Like, all right, what did I need to work on? You know what I mean? And then I got home. I told my family, like, yeah, it was not like I thought, you know? And I came up with the decision. Like, I had a big tournament. 2 weeks later. It was for a title. It was called a Rip City Championship Tournament. And I was going against the Golden Glove State champ. That I didn't know he was the Golden Glove State champ at the time, because I'm just a kid trying to move up the ranks. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this as fuel, you know? And I decided to go all in. And I ended up beating by unanimous decision. And that's when my career started stepping up. So, yeah, it took me a little bit, but I believed in myself afterwards, 3 days to a week after, and then I did it. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So where do you want to go with this career, man? You're still young. You got a lot of years left in you. Where are you going to take this pro career? What's your goal?
And I don't feel young. But I don't know. Right now, I'm working my way up to the top. And obviously, every boxer's going to say they want to become world champ. You know what I mean? They want to become the best. But really, I want to become stronger as a person. You know, like, I want to level up myself day in and day out. And if I do that and I stay consistent, my favorite quote is constant effort is life's greatest shortcut. So I just gotta keep my effort, stay consistent, and work hard. And what I see in my mind will come true. So I just gotta envision it and keep working hard and don't let anybody outwork me. And yeah, one day I want to become world champ. I want to become known as the king of all boxers. So
Yeah, man, that's a great mentality, man. For me, it was always about I want to win this show, or I want to turn pro, or I want to win this, and it wasn't. I got lost, and I wasn't focusing on. It sounds like you were focused on that journey of just every day get better, and it came, and it just comes naturally, right? I was waiting on a title to define me. I needed to win this, and it would define me. So that's how I was thinking back then, as a bodybuilder. But speaking of mentality, man, what are the toughest things about? I mean, you've talked about it.
yeah.
What are the toughest things mentally about boxing, right? Because it's more than a physical sport, right? It's
Oh yeah.
like the
Yeah.
toughest guys are coming from here, right? And here, right? Here and here.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Physical is important, but that's like 10% of it.
Right.
Like custom audio, like my coach says, like boxing is 90 to 95% mental.
Mm.
It's all up here. Like you can see, like you've seen Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua. Andy Ruiz was like a big balloon, and he's fighting a big buff Anthony Joshua, 6'8" Jack world champion, and his mental was stronger, and he believed in himself and he caught him and he ended up becoming world champ. So it's all mental. Like boxing for me, like at the beginning, yeah, it was lonely. Like I started this journey, it was lonely. I felt isolated. Like you learn a lot about yourself through isolation. You know what I mean? And you start building yourself, you start building a new character, and you're bettering yourself day in and day out. And boxing is not just about like becoming strong, becoming the most powerful, the best fighter in the world. It's about like it teaches you how to conversate, build connections, be smart. Like boxing, it's like teaches you a lot of life lessons. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
people don't really realize that. People, look at combat sports and they're like, it's an entertainment sport. You know what I mean? Like, oh, let's go watch guys beat each other up. But they don't understand like what those fighters put into themselves, what they do, what they don't see what they're doing, putting in the work. You know what I mean? Isolating, checking the food, making sure their heart rate's on point, writing down their nutrition. I've been doing that for 2.5 years now. I've been tracking my nutrition, my heart rate, how many steps I take every day. You know what I mean? And I'm just saying, like, boxing teaches a lot more than just fighting. So mentally, it's all mental, honestly. And for me, it's 95% mental and 5% physical. But they have to be connected.
Would you say the isolation is probably one of the tougher things that you got to deal with?
Yeah.
Because no one understands you, right? Nobody understands. People can cheer for you. You got all these fans, right? And they love you and they're cheering for you, but they don't know what's going on here. They don't know, and it is isolation, man.
Yeah, like just like in any sport, like they don't know what's going on in your mind. They don't see.
They're fans, right? And they're fans for a reason.
Fans. But fans to watch you or to be entertained, and they don't see the isolation, the stress you go through, everything, the pain you go through, the putting in the work, being sore the next day, like, oh, I gotta get up and do it again. You know what I mean? Oh, I gotta recover and sit in the ice bath, sit in the sauna, stretch. There's so much to it. I mean, I probably need to do some mental mind games. You know what I mean? There's so much that it's left out, So yeah, I would say isolation, and yeah, that's one of the toughest. The pain that you go through, the grind, the consistent work. There's so many. So
it's a business too, right? I mean, you got to fill seats, you got to get sponsorships. It's not just about always being the the best fighter. It's a business, kind of like bodybuilding too, Co. That's a business, right? It's a sport, but it's a business.
It's bullshit. The politics, man. I hated it.
Exactly.
I didn't. I was so young. I thought I just, to me, I thought about was presenting the best physique and focusing on that. But I didn't know. I did not know how to play the game. Because there's no one to teach you. There's no one to teach you how to play the game.
Yeah, you're learning on your own.
Yeah. And
that's exactly what I've been doing. Like, I have to be my own brand too. I'm my own business. You know what I mean? So I have to build my publicity, just like you guys have to build your publicity. And I think we're on the right track though. So
man, what's your mom's maiden name?
Oh, so
what's her maiden name?
Vongsaravanhlao.
Put that in there, Haidon Vongsarvanhlao Allen, and man, you'll get the Lao community behind you, right, Co?
Yeah.
There you go.
Vong. Was it Vong? VONG?
Yeah, Vongsaravanhlao.
Vongsaravanhlao. Wow, okay.
It's got 8 syllables, so it's definitely Lao.
My grandpa's last name is Kamviseth.
Fight under one of those, man. Put it in the middle. That'll bring out a whole new group of people that'll be
even calls it Haidon Vong. Haidon Vong.
You gotta go the whole thing. We gotta see those 8 syllables, Co. Vong is just too, I don't know.
Put it all. I'm fine with it, whatever. Like I would love to do that. Because now that I'm getting more in tune with my Lao side and my culture, like it's awesome. So
put it in the middle, man. That'll get then they'll get that whole community jazzed up, man, and behind you as well. But man, what advice would you have for other athletes coming up and trying to chase a dream?
Ooh, I haven't thought of that one. That one's a good one too. For kids to chase their dream. So if you can believe it here, and you believe it here, and you have the confidence to speak it, then I would go for it. Like if you have a dream that you feel that's out of reach, but it's in your mind, chase it. Like don't have any regrets. Go all in. This is your one opportunity. It's life. And I would want everybody to follow their dreams at least once in their life. So yeah, that's what I have for the kids coming up and kids that want to follow their dreams. So, and pursue something that is meaningful to them, and don't let any outside negativity and other people's opinions affect your decision. Because this decision is your decision only. This is what you want to do. So make sure that none of that affects you. Just remember, like, this is what you want to do, and if you believe it and you see it, you can do it. So if you envision it, go for it.
And that's why we have like the Lao American Sports Hall of Fame, and we try to promote these athletes, because I came to the States in '75, so I was only 4 years old at that time, and it's just like it was all about survival. It wasn't about dreams. Hey, Mom, Dad, I want to be a football player. You're too small. Mom, Dad, I want to be a bodybuilder. Here's a quick example, right? You're too small. Who are your role models? Who are your Laotian or Asian role models? Arnold. Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's
so funny.
6'5".
Say that. Look at that. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Visualization. It says right there. Visualization.
Nice.
Yeah. So I got a whole bunch of them. Hold up. Discipline right there.
You met him. Arnold. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Arnold.
That's funny you say that.
I bought the book, Educational Bodybuilders. It's like a paperback book, man. And then it's just like, I read that from front to back, and then all this nutrition and everything. And I just absorbed it, absorbed that nutrition, absorbed that information, so.
That was your obsession. That was your passion. That's why you did it. And that's what's so cool, hearing other people's stories too. Cause we all have different aspirations, different dreams. We're different. Yeah. We're different beings. So it's cool to see someone else chase something just like you're chasing something, but it's the same.
And we all have adversity, man. Every show I lost, I was ready to retire. This shit, fuck. I'm like, You wake up the next day, you go to sleep the next day, and it's like, oh man, you want it, you get back in the gym, you keep going.
Going, stay disciplined.
Where are you? You're from the West Coast. Are you in Oregon? Is that where you're from?
Yes, I'm from Oregon.
Portland?
No, I've been living, I'm in St. Helens. I'm like 40 minutes away from Portland. It's a small town. I grew up in this small town.
Okay.
And I decided to move back. I've been traveling. Like I said, I went to Kansas, and then I went to Oregon State, and then
it's a big language community in Portland, right?
Yeah, I have a lot of people. It's a big community, but it's mainly my community is St. Helens.
There's a little town, right?
My town. Portland, like I go fight in Clackamas, which is like 15 minutes from Portland. Like, yeah, I have some friends in Portland, but not much. It's mainly I moved back to bring all my St. Helens community to my fights, just to build more, and then they see me fight, and then other people see me fight from all over, and then they start building. It starts building because of my fights and KOs and stuff like that. So I love it here. I lived here since I was 2 years old, and I'm glad I moved back. I was gone for 4 to 5 years. I was trying to find myself, and I was traveling. I was at University of St. Mary in Kansas for a whole year and a half. Went to Corvallis, and I started boxing. Then when I got into amateur boxing, I was traveling the world. I was just like fighting in Georgia. I was fighting in Texas. I was fighting in Kansas again. Louisiana. Like, I was just trying to fight the best and go to the biggest tournaments to get seen. So, and now I moved back home last year to focus on my pro career, and I have my mom as my momager, my dad as all my manager too, and they help me set up with my coach. My coach finds the right fights, and then they help me with the ticket sales and everything. And it's kind of just brought our family closer. So I'm glad we moved back. So, man, hey, I also want to say, like, my mom and dad, like, they made me who I am today too. Like, they helped me chase my dreams. Like, even when I was a kid, or even when I was in high school, like, hey, should I get a job? Like, no, chase your dreams. Like,
that's awesome.
Follow what you can now, because you only live once, and I'm just grateful for them to keep pushing me towards this journey, and I'm all in now. Like, decided this is what I want to do, and I'm happy with it, So I'm grateful.
Have John send you my documentary and see what my mother said about what I could do with the trophy that I got.
Yeah. Send it to me. I'll definitely go watch that.
Yeah, we'll send that to you. You watch it with your mom. She'll get a kick out of it, because she's more from Co's generation, right? That first generation to grow up here. She'll enjoy it as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Cool, man. Hey, man, great stuff, man. Great interview.
Thank you. Hey, it was nice talking to you, Co. Nice talking to you, John.
The C4 podcast is brought to you by the Lao American Sports Hall of Fame. Visit us on the web at laoamericansports.com, celebrating the first, inspiring the next.